Welcome dear students. Let's continue with our online classes. We hope all are fine and safe. The management and staff of the Mount St. Joseph Higher Secondary School all are praying for you and your family sincerely to be safe and happy. Okay students, let's continue with the class now. Let's get into a new topic, basic algebra. So already you are very familiar with the topic algebra, isn't it? So now this is the topic basic algebra. Once again we are going to recollect what are the things right from the very beginning of your schooling till the end of what you have learnt last year. We are going to discuss all those things in this basic algebra. Okay, to start up with, what are the objectives of this basic algebra are? So first one, they are going to explain what is meant by a real number. They are going to have a discussion on the properties of the real number, and they are going to explain what is meant by the absolute value, polynomial equations, how to solve the polynomial equations, quadratic equations, and the statement problems which deals all the quadratic equation. It goes on. Very simple and interesting topic too. Shall we discuss now? Yes students. Okay. Now to start up with, let's start what is meant by a real number. We have learnt already what is meant by a real number. We know it, isn't it? Right from the first standard we are learning the number system, and we have categories of number system, and we have a special names for each numbers also. Okay, so let's recollect what is meant by a real number. Okay, now tell me what is meant by a real number. What are the numbers are termed as real numbers? Can you guess? Yes. Now you just imagine we have a straight line, the number line, isn't it? So we have drawn a number line, and we know how to mark the number line. 0, and this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, and it goes on. In the same way we can have -1, -2, -3 and -4. Yes or no? So these numbers are plotted on the real line, on the straight line, isn't it? Okay. Now look into this. The numbers which is towards the right side or left side of the 0. Left side of 0 is positive numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4. The numbers which are right side of the 0, not towards my hand, the right side of the 0 is -1, -2, -3 and -4. Okay. Now if I ask you to plot the point on this number line -2. Okay. Now you will be able to plot the point on the number line. Where is -2 now? Here. Is or no? So we can plot the point -2. Now if I ask you to plot the point +3. So now here we have +3 and you will mark it here. Okay. Now you just plot the point of 0.5. If I ask you to plot the point 0.5 on the number line. Now it's not very directly given 0.5 on the number line, but of course we can plot the point 0.5 on the number line. Yes or no? Okay. So where will I get the point 0.5 is the number between 0 and 1 will give you 0.5. So I can plot the point here. I can term it as 0.5. Yes or no? Okay. Now I am asking you to plot the point √2. Okay, √2. This √2 can also be plotted on the real line, but it's not given very directly, but indirectly we can find the value of this √2 and we can plot the point on the number line. Okay, now √2, what is the value of √2? You know how to find the square root of a number. We will find the square root of a number using the long division. You know it, and you have learnt in your 10th standard too. Okay, now the square root of the 2 is 1.414. Is that no? 1.41. It goes on. Of course it goes on. 1.414. We stop with 1.414. Now this 1.414 can also be plotted where? On the line. Okay, so in your 9th standard, I hope you will remember, in your 9th standard you have plotted the point √2. Do you remember? We will plot the point, we'll mark an arc and we'll join the line and we'll say 1 centimeter. you will remember, you just go through your 9th standard books for a recapitulation. So this root 2 can be plotted on the number line. So again root 2 can also be plotted on the number line. In such a way, there are many varieties. Now look into this. This is an integer. Yes or no? -2. This is also an integer, but this is a decimal. Okay. Now this can be a number. Do you remember rational or irrational number? Yes? Okay. We'll discuss it. Now these type of numbers or the collection of numbers which can be plotted on the number line are termed as a real number. Okay students, so I hope you will have a better understanding what is meant by a real number. So எதெல்லாம் ரியல் நம்பர்னா எந்தெந்த நம்பர்ஸ் எல்லாத்தையும் நான் நம்பர் லைனில் பிளாட் பண்ண முடியுமோ அது எல்லாமே ரியல் நம்பர்ஸ் தான். அப்போ எதெல்லாம் பண்ண முடியும் அப்படின்னா நம்ம வெறும் இன்டீஜர், பாசிட்டிவ் இன்டீஜர், நெகட்டிவ் இன்டீஜர், இல்லாட்டி வந்து டெசிமல், இது எல்லாத்தையுமே நம்மளால் டைரெக்டாக என்ன பண்ண முடியும், நம்மளால் இதில் பிளாட் பண்ண முடியும். ஓகே. ஸோ இப்போது ரேஷ்னல் நம்பர்ஸ், இர்ரேஷ்னல் நம்பர்ஸாக இருந்தால் அஃப்கோர்ஸ் அதையும் நம்ம பிளாட் பண்ண முடியும். அப்போ நம்ம வந்து அதை இன்டைரக்டாக கண்டுபிடிச்சி ஸ்கொயர் ரூட்னா ஸ்கொயர் ரூட், இப்போ ரூட் 2க்கு 1.414ன்னு நம்ம அதை சிம்பிளிஃபைடு ரிசல்ட்டாக கொண்டு வந்துட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் we have to substitute on the number line. சரிங்களா? ஓகே. நவ் அப்போ சிம்பிளாக சொல்லணும்னா எல்லா கலெக்ஷன் ஆஃப் ஆல் த நம்பர்ஸ் ஆர் டேர்ம்ட் as a ரியல் நம்பர்னு சொல்லலாம். இன்னும் ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்காக சொல்லணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னால் the real number is the combination of rational number. You know what is a rational number, isn't it? It is a combination of rational and irrational numbers அப்படின்னு அர்த்தம். அப்போது ஒன்று இருந்தால் ரேஷ்னல் நம்பராக இருக்கும், இல்லாட்டி இர்ரேஷ்னல் நம்பராக இருக்கும். இது ரெண்டுத்தையுமே கம்பைன் பண்ணி கொண்டு வர்றது தான் கம்ப்ளீட்டாக நம்ம என்னன்னு சொல்ல போகிறோம் அப்படின்னா ரியல் நம்பர்னு சொல்ல போகிறோம். ஓகே. நவ் லெட்ஸ் டிஸ்கஸ் வாட் இஸ் மென்ட் பை அ ரேஷ்னல் நம்பர். சரிங்களா? ஓகே. இப்போ we know that in our smaller classes rational number is denoted as what? Q. Yes or no? சரி. அப்போ ரியல் லைன் ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கிறது ரியல் லைன். நான் சொல்லி ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கிறது ரியல் நம்பர். ஒரு லைனில் எல்லா நம்பர்ஸுமே நம்ம என்னன்னு சொல்கிறோம், ரியல் நம்பர்னு சொல்கிறோம். அந்த ரியல் நம்பரில் ரேஷ்னல் நம்பர்ஸை சப்ராக்ட் பண்ணி எடுத்துட்டா, ஸோ ரியல் நம்பர் இஸ் டினோட்டட் பை வாட்? ஆர். அப்போ இந்த ரியல் நம்பரில் நம்ம ரேஷ்னல் நம்பர்ஸை சப்ராக்ட் பண்ணி எடுத்துட்டா நமக்கு கிடைக்கிறது என்னது? இர்ரேஷ்னல் நம்பர்ஸ். ஆமா தானே? எஸ் ஆர் நோ? Okay, so now this irrational number can be denoted as r minus q. R minus q. Subtracting a rational number from the real number will give you the irrational number. Now, to discuss very specifically what is meant by a rational number, what is meant by a irrational number. Okay, so now rational number. So we have different varieties of numbers, isn't it? Okay, do you remember we have divided, for example, 1 by 2. 1 divided by 2. When you divide 1 divided by 2, you will get what? 0.5. 0.5. Of course, it is a decimal, but specifically is telling 0.5 is a decimal which terminates. Which terminates. What is the meaning of termination? It stops. இதுக்கப்புறம் போகலை இல்லையா? Now you just imagine 1 by 3. 1 divided by 3. When you divide 1 divided by 3, what you will get? 0.333 and it goes on. Is that no? Of course, this is also a decimal number, but whereas it does not terminate. It does not terminate. அப்போ இது வந்து என்ன ஆகுது? Terminate. நின்னுடுது. 0.5 decimal number தான். It stops. ஆனால் இங்கே வந்து என்ன பண்ணல, அது ஸ்டாப் ஆகலை, அது என்ன ஆகிட்டே இருக்குது, ரெக்கரிங் ஆகிட்டே இருக்குது. ரெக்கரிங்னா ரிப்பீட்டட் ஆஃப் த சேம் டிஜிட்ஸ். 3 மட்டும்தான் ரிப்பீட் ஆகும். நீங்கள் எத்தனை தடவை போட்டாலும் 3 மட்டும்தான் ரிப்பீட் ஆகும். ஓகே, சரி. Now the next one is, now look into this number, root 2. Root 2, when we find root 2, not only root 2, any other number you just find like this fractional numbers which you can see like this 1.414 and it goes on. இப்போ இதில் 4, 5, again 3, 2 and it goes on. For example, it goes on like this. Now this is a number, decimal number, which is non-terminating and non-recurring too. Non-recurring means the same digit is not repeated. Same digit is not repeated. So we can say this is a non-recurring decimal. சரிங்களா? அப்போ ஒரே நம்பர் ரிப்பீட் ஆச்சுன்னா அது பேரு recurring. What is that? Recurring number. இப்போ ஒரே digit repeat ஆகலைனா it is termed as what? Non-recurring. Non-recurring, and this is termed as what? Non-terminating. Non-terminating na enna artham? It does not terminate, it does not end. Is it clear for you? So these are the variety of numbers. First one is terminating decimal. This is a terminating decimal. This is a non-terminating decimal and recurring decimal. Inga this is non-terminating and non-recurring decimal. So these are the three varieties of numbers. அப்ப இந்த ரெண்டு numbers எது terminating ஆ இருந்தோ non-terminating or recurring ஆ இருந்துச்சுன்னா these two numbers are termed as a rational number. These two numbers are termed as what? Rational number. இந்த மாதிரி non-terminating, non-recurring வந்துச்சு அப்படின்னு சொன்னா this is termed as what? Irrational number. So this is very important basic concept. This you have to know it before entering into the basic algebra topic. Is it clear, students? So first have a very clear idea what is meant by a real number. So the real number is a combination of rational and irrational number. So we have discussed what is meant by a rational number. Rational number is nothing but if a number terminates, and also if a number is non-terminating. So it can be a terminating and non-terminating, as well as non-terminating mattum illa, non-terminating plus recurring. If this happens, we can say this is a rational number. This is a rational number. Now coming to the irrational number. So it is a non-terminating and non-recurring number. Is it clear for you? So with the help of this concept, we are going to discuss the first sum of the exercise. So you are going to try it. Okay. Now let's discuss. They have given what are the special properties of the real number. It's very simple. So that before getting into the problems, if you know the properties, it will be well and good for you. Shall we continue? Okay, students. Now let's discuss the properties. What are the properties of the real number? Okay. Now look into this. For first point, for any a comma b belongs to R, a plus b belongs to R and ab belongs to R. So very simple concept to be understood. Now look into this. Now we are going to take any two numbers from the real number. A comma b. Okay. So now when we add those two numbers, again the result of that number will belong to a real number. And also when we multiply those two numbers, again the product of those two numbers will be belong to the real number R. Let's discuss with an example. Now shall we take two real numbers? Minus 3, it is one of a real number, isn't it? Minus 3 plus 5. Okay. So minus 3 comma 5, does it belongs to R? Yes, definitely. So now I'm going to add these two numbers, minus 3 plus 5. The result is plus 2. Does this plus 2 belongs to a real number? Definitely this 2 belongs to the real number. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply these two numbers, minus 3 into 5. What I will get? Minus 15. Minus 15, does it belongs to a real number? Definitely it is a real number. So that's what the first property says. What is that? If we add two numbers, again the sum of those two numbers will be a real number. When we multiply those two numbers, again the product will be a real number. Very simple and important property too. Now let's discuss the second one. Look into the second one. For any a comma b belongs to R, a plus b plus c is equal to a plus b plus c. Again one more, the same it goes with product also. A into bc is equal to ab into c. Do you know? Do you remember what type of a property is this? Yes, very good. This is the associative property. If the bracket is replaced or interchanged, we say it as an associative property. Now this bracket, first we have to add a plus b and then that sum has to be added with c. So that answer, LHS answer will be equal to a plus b plus c. Again we are going to add the sum of B and C when you add. So these are very simple things already we have learned. You can check this property and see using by giving simple numbers to this. Okay, the same way it will go for product also. You can try like this by giving the example. Okay, now look into this. This is a very important property, that is for all A belongs to R. So for all, whatever may be the value of A, I can take any of the value. It can be a decimal, it can be a positive integer, it can be a negative integer, or it can be a surd. Surd means root 2, root 5, root 6, root 8. These are the numbers, isn't it? Okay. Now, if that number, for every A belongs to R, that is A plus 0 will give you the answer of A. And again, A into 1 is equal to A. Now here, this 0 is termed as an additive identity. Additive identity. These two you have learned in our 10th standard, isn't it? Additive identity. Additive identity na, identity means same. அப்போ இந்த A கூட நான் 0வை ஆட் பண்ணா again the answer வந்து என்னதான் கொடுக்கணும், அதே Aவை தான் கொடுக்கும். அதுதான் identity. அப்போ identity element. அப்போ 3 கூட நான் 0வை ஆட் பண்ணா again என்ன வந்துருச்சு 3. அப்போ இந்த 3 எது கூட சேர்ந்ததுனால அதே நம்பரா கொடுத்துருச்சு 0. அப்போ அந்த 0க்கு பேர் தான் என்னது additive. ஏன்னா நான் ஆட் பண்றேன் இல்லையா? So it is termed as additive identity. Now coming to the product. இப்போ இந்த 3 கூட நான் எதை மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணா அதே 3 எனக்கு ஆன்சரா கிடைக்கும் 1. Yes or no? அப்போ 3 into 1 is equal to 3. அப்போ இந்த 1ன்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா multiplicative identity. Addition மாதிரி என்னது 1ன்றது என்னது multiplicative identity. ஏன்னா 1 மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணும்போது தான் திரும்ப அதே நம்பர் எனக்கு கிடைக்குது. Is it clear for you? So we can say it as a additive identity and multiplicative identity. So எல்லா ஜென்ரலா whatever may be the real number, எந்த நம்பர் நீங்கள் எடுத்தாலும் 0 கூட ஆட் பண்ணும்போது அதே நம்பரை தான் கொடுக்கும், 1 கூட மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணும்போது அதே நம்பரை தான் கொடுக்கும். Okay, now look into the next one. For every, let's discuss this one. For every A belongs to R, A plus minus A is equal to 0. Okay, now B belongs to, next one, B belongs to R minus 0. B into 1 by B is equal to 1. Now, this is the inverse property in namma solluvom. Already we have discussed that. Let me explain it once again. This, the last one is termed as the inverse. Okay. Now, what is meant by the inverse? Inverse na enadhu thalaikizhi. We know that, isn't it? Ipo, let us take a number 3. The same discussion, same number we can choose 3. இப்போ இந்த 3 கூட நான் எந்த நம்பரை ஆட் பண்ணா எனக்கு ஐடென்டிட்டி எலிமெண்ட் வரும். What is the identity element? Addition பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் what is the identity element? I told you 0, isn't it? Now tell me 3 கூட எந்த நம்பரை நான் ஆட் பண்ணா I will get 0. Okay, அப்போ எதை ஆட் பண்ணா 0 வரும்? -3. Is that no? அப்போ 3 plus -3 will give you what? 0. அப்போ இந்த 3 ஓட additive inverse. What is that? Additive inverse. 3 ஓட additive inverse எதுன்னு கேட்டிங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னா -3. Is it clear for you? So now this is for addition, isn't it? இப்போ additive identity இருந்த மாதிரி additive inverse இருக்கு. Now we have to go for multiplicative inverse, isn't it? Okay, now we can discuss with the same example 3. இந்த 3 கூட நான் எதை மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணா again I get the identity, multiplicative identity. What is the multiplicative identity? 1. Is that no? That's what that property said, isn't it? Multiplicative identity is what? 1, isn't it? அப்போ 3 கூட எதை மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணா எனக்கு ஆன்சர் 1 வரும். Can you guess? Yes, very good. Now the answer is 1 by 3. Is that no? So 3 and 3 is getting cancelled. The answer is 1. So this 1 by 3 is termed as multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse. Okay. Now you just apply this illustration to this property now. Now for every A, whatever may be the number, A belongs to R. When I add A plus the inverse of, additive inverse of A minus A, the answer will be the additive identity. The same way, whatever may B belongs to R minus 0. R minus 0 na enna arthona? the set of all real numbers except the number 0 nu artham. This is the denotion. You just go through this. These denotions are very very important. Okay, so r minus 0, set of all 0, that means real number la 0 va nama subtract panni eduthonu. Appa we should not get with the number what 0. Ena division la if it is becomes 0, then it becomes undefined, not defined. We know, isn't it? Okay, that's why they have given b belongs to r minus 0. So the property says b into 1 by b will give you the answer 1. Is it clear for you? Is it okay? So we have discussed almost 4 subdivisions and the properties of the real number. Okay students, now let's discuss the 5th property now. For any a comma b belongs to r. Now this a and b represents any number in general, isn't it? Okay, a comma b belongs to r. A plus b is equal to b plus a, and ab equal to b into a. That is a into b is equal to b into a. Okay, now look into this. We already know this is the commutative property. Commutative property over addition and commutative property over multiplication. So when we add 1 plus 2, this also leads to 3 answer. When we add 2 plus 1, that also leads to the same answer 3. Is it clear? 1 into 2 will give you 2. Again 2 into 1 will also give you same answer. These things are very simple. Already we have learnt, isn't it? Okay. Now coming to this, for a comma b comma c, there are 3 numbers here. A, b, c belongs to r. Now a into b plus c is equal to ab plus AC. You know, this property is termed as a distributive property. Already we know this is a distributive property. Now the operation is distributed. Yes or no? Okay. Now let's check this with an example. Let's take 3 numbers 1, 2, 3. Of course it can be a negative number too. You can try and see. So now 1 plus 2 plus 3, I have taken it very simple. So let's discuss this one. So 1 into 2 plus 3. This answer should be equal to, now a into b, that is 1 into 2 plus 2 into, 1 into 3. Is that no? Now look into this. What will be the answer? 1 into 2 plus 3 is 1 into 2 plus 3 is 5, equal to 1 into 2 is 2 plus 1 into 3 is 3. So the answer is 1 into 5 is 5. Again 2 plus 3 is 5. Is that no? Okay, so we have verified this property, that is the distributive property holds for the real number. Okay, now let's get with the next one. Very very simple and very important too. Now look into this. For a comma b belongs to r and a is less than b. A is less than b if and only if. This is very very important. Now we will be using often this statement, if and only if. What does this if and only if? We can rewrite this as, in short form we will write it like this, IFF. So this means if and only if. So what does this holds means? If and only if na, if this condition is satisfied, if a is less than b na, automatically b minus a is greater than 0. Simultaneous. Now for example, now you are in 11th standard, isn't it? Now you are in 11th standard, it means already you have passed your 10th standard. Okay, now if you have passed your 10th standard, if you are going to be a regular student, consistent student, consistently you are going to learn up to now, if you have passed your 10th standard, automatically you will move on to your 11th standard. So these things will go hand in hand, isn't it? Appo a oda value less than b ah irunduchina kandipa nama enna result sollalaamna b minus a oda value vandu will be greater than 0 ah dhaan irukum. Okay, now let's check with a simple example. 3,5. Ipo 3 is less than 5, isn't it? 3 is less than 5. So when this will implies if and only 5 minus 3 will be equal to 2. Does this 3 is greater than 0? Yes, 5 minus 3 is equal to 2 is greater than 0. Appo 5 minus 3, 2 oda answer greater than 0 வா இருக்குதுன்னு சொன்னா கண்டிப்பா அந்த ரெண்டு நம்பர் first number will be less than the second number னு அர்த்தம். Okay, so simultaneous ரெண்டுமே கரெக்ட். இது வந்து ட்ரூன்னு சொன்னா 3 வந்து 5 விட சின்னதா இருக்குன்னு சொன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா 5 ல இருந்து 3 மைனஸ் பண்ணும்போது வரக்கூடிய நம்பர் greater than 0 தான் இருக்கும். Let's check the vice versa. Okay. Let's discuss the vice versa now. If A is less than B தான் நம்ம discuss பண்ணோம். Let's discuss if A is greater than B. A is greater than B. Now I am going to take A ஓட value 5 ன்னு எடுத்துக்கலாம். B ஓட value வந்து -3 ன்னு எடுத்துக்கலாம். So definitely 5 is greater than B. Okay. Now I am going to check B minus A. Appo what is B now? -3 minus 5. What is -3 minus 5? It is -8. Isn't it? It is a negative number. In the number is this number is definitely less than 0. This number is definitely less than 0. So if this is in reverse, that is if A is greater than B, now definitely B minus A will be less than 0. So this only property can be used in both the cases, less than B and greater than B2. Okay, did you understand? So first result is true now, automatically the second result is also true nu solradha if and only if condition. Okay, now look into the next one. For any A belongs to R, A squared is greater than or equal to 0. A squared is greater than. So for whatever another number of R, adukku nama square பண்ணும்போது greater than or equal to 0. Greater than or equal to. That is very important, because if you take, if I am going to take the value of 0 அப்படினு சொன்னா, what will be A squared? A squared is again equal to 0. Isn't it? Okay. Now if I am going to take A is equal to 6 plus 6, what will be A squared? A squared is equal to 36. Does this 36 is greater than 0? Definitely. Now the same way, let us take A is equal to -4. Okay, if I take -4, A squared is equal to what? Plus 16, definitely it is greater than 0. So for any real number, if I take that square of that number will definitely be greater than or equal to 0. Is it clear? Shall we discuss the next points of the properties? Okay students, now let's discuss the ninth property. Very simple. For any A comma B belongs to R, only one of the following holds. Okay. So the first one, A is equal to B, or A is less than B, or A is greater than B. Only these three conditions will hold. No any other condition will be holded for this. For if you take any two numbers in a real number, either it can be both are equal numbers. A is equal to B சொல்லலாம், இல்ல A will be less than B னு சொல்லலாம், இல்ல A is greater than B னு சொல்லலாம். ஒன்னு ஈக்குவலா இருக்கு, இல்ல லெஸரா இருக்கு, இல்ல கிரேட்டரா இருக்குன்னு சொல்லலாம். இத மூணு தவிர வேற எந்த ஆப்ஷன்ஸுமே நம்ம கண்டிஷன்ஸுமே அது ஃபில் பண்ணாது அப்படினு சொல்றாங்க. ஓகே, very simple. Now look into this. If A comma B belongs to R and A is less than B, then A plus B less than B plus C for all C belongs to R. This is very important too. Now look into this. A plus C. For any two numbers A comma B belongs to R. Now this condition holds, that is A is less than B. So again I am going to assume two numbers. Let's take 4 and 5. 4 and 5. So 4 is definitely less than 5, isn't it? Okay. Now I am going to introduce one more number C. Now I am going to add that C along with A. Let's take that one more number as 1. Okay. Let me take the number C to be valued as 1. Now let us add 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1. Now it will be less than 5 plus 1. Do you agree? 4 plus 1 is how much? 5. And 5 plus 1 is how much? 6. Now again this 5 is less than 6. That's what they mean here. If A is less than B, then A plus C will be less than B plus C for all C belongs to R. This is the generalized rule. You can check with any other value of these two, A and B. You will definitely go through this result only. Okay, now let's discuss the 11th one. If A comma B belongs to R and A is less than B, then AX is less than BX for all X greater than 0. For all X greater than 0. Now look into this. We are going to multiply this X along with A and B. When we check again, AX value will be definitely less than BX provided if this condition is satisfied, that is for all x greater than 0. அப்போ x greater than 0 இருந்தால் மட்டும்தான் இந்த வேல்யூ இந்த கண்டிஷன் வந்து satisfy ஆகும். Let's check now. Now let's check. We'll take 2 and 4, a comma b. Okay. Now definitely 2 is less than 4, isn't it? 2 is less than 4. Now I'm going to take one more number, that is x, which is greater than 0. Now shall we assume 3? Okay. Now I'm going to multiply 2 by 3. 2 by 3. So 2 into 3. Now does this number is less than, when I multiply with 4 into 3, now look into this, 2 3s are how much? 6. 2 3s are 6. 4 3s are 12. Okay. Now here also 6 is less than what? 12. Okay. So this case will be happen only if this 3 is greater than 0. Greater than 0. So now let's discuss if this is going to be the reversible condition. That is your next subdivision, 12th property. So here if a is less than b, then ay will be greater than by. Greater than by for all y less than 0. For all y less than 0. Now let's discuss the same thing. Shall we take 2 comma 4? 2 comma 4, 2 is less than 4, isn't it? Now I am going to introduce one value y, which is going to be less than 0, which is going to be less than 0. What does it mean, less than 0? All the negative numbers comes under less than 0. So shall we take y is equal to minus 1? Okay. Now let's check. Now I am going to multiply 2 into minus 1 and 4 into minus 1. 2 into minus 1 and 4 into minus 1. Now what is 2 into minus 1? It is minus 2. What is 4 into minus 1? It is minus 4. We know that, isn't it? On the right hand side of the 0, when the numbers goes this way, it gets reduced. Now look into this number line. 0 inga irukku, minus 1, minus 2. So inga 1, 2, 3 and it goes on. அப்போ இந்த சைடில் இருந்து வர தான் நம்பர்ஸோட வேல்யூ அதிகமே தவிர இப்படி போக போக நம்மளோட வேல்யூஸ் என்ன ஆகிட்டு வரும், ரெடியூஸ் ஆகிட்டு வரும், கம்மி ஆகிட்டு வரும். அப்போ -2 விட -1ஓட வேல்யூ தான் என்னது, ஜாஸ்தி, அதிகம். ஓகே. ஸோ அப்போ -2 பெருசா -4 பெருசான்னு பார்த்தா நம்மளோட வேல்யூ -2 தான் என்னது, பெருசு. ஸோ திஸ் கண்டிஷன் இஸ் சாட்டிஸ்ஃபைட். அப்போ y-ஓட வேல்யூ லெஸ் தென் 0 இருந்தா ay will be greater than by. Is it clear, students? So all these 12 subdivision properties are very, very important to discuss in our further sums of this exercise. Okay, students, let's discuss the exercise 2.1 sums. Okay. So very simple. Let's they have given to classify the numbers. These numbers are given √7, -1/4, 0, 3.14, 4 and 22/7, isn't it? Okay. Now we have to classify them and we have to name them whether it belongs to a natural number. N stands for the natural number, Q stands for the rational number, Z stands for the integer and R minus Q stands for the irrational number. Is it clear for you? Okay. So one by one we are going to discuss and we are going to classify them in which these numbers belong to. Now look into this number √7. Now look into this √7. Already we have discussed √2. Yes or no? √2 is what? 1.414 and it goes on without terminating. So as we discussed already, this number √2 is an irrational number since it is a non-terminating and non-recurring decimal number. Okay. Now look into this √4. √4, square root of 4 is equal to how much? 2, isn't it? Now this 2 is a whole number, it's an integer. Okay. Now this 2 is not a decimal, neither it is a terminating number. So definitely this 2 is a rational number. Okay. Now when we discuss √3, √3 is what? As we told you, 1.732 and it goes on. Is it clear? The same way, root 3 is also an irrational number because it is a non-terminating and non-recurring decimal number. Okay, now look into this root 5 the same way, root 5, root 6 and root 8. Now root 7 too, root 7. Okay, so these are the numbers. Okay, now we can say these numbers are irrational numbers. Let's discuss what is the value of root 7. You know how to find the square root of a number using long division. You are going to try it and you are going to send it to me. Okay, so now I will give you the value of this root 7. Root 7 is 2.6457 and it goes on. Is it clear for you? So now this number root 7 is an irrational number since it is a non-terminating and non-recurring decimal. So this root 7 is classified as what? Irrational number. So I can classify it as R minus Q, which stands for an irrational number. Now look into this minus 1 by 4. Minus 1 by 4. Now this minus 1 by 4 is a rational number because we can divide and see. You divide and see 1 divided by 4, what you will get? 1 divided by 4, what will be the number? 0.25. Is that no? Okay. Now if it is going to be a minus 1 by 4, it is minus 0.25. This is a number terminating decimal. So this terminating decimal will become a rational number. So this becomes minus 1 by 4 becomes a rational number. Okay. Now what is this 0? 0 belongs to, does it belongs to a natural number? No. Does it becomes a rational number? No. It belongs a integer. So 0 is an integer. Okay students, let's discuss this 3.14. This 3.14, to which cadre it belongs to. Okay, now look into this 3.14. It is a decimal number, isn't it? It is a decimal number, that too very specifically it is a terminating and non-recurring decimal number. So definitely this number will belong to a rational number. So 3.14 is a rational number. Okay, now very simple example given 4. 4 belongs to a natural number, it belongs to an integer and it also belongs to a rational number. So this 4 can classified into natural number, integer and a rational number. Okay, now let's discuss the 22 by 7. Now let's see, we'll divide and see 22 by 7. 7 3s are 21, 1 reminder, so this cannot be divided, so I am keeping point. 0, 7 2s, 7 1s are 7, 3, again 30, 7 4s are 28, so again 2, 20, 7 2s are 14, again 6 and it goes on. Is it clear? So again when you divide 22 by 7, the answer is 3.142 and it goes on without terminating and non-recurring. We won't get the numbers which are same in repeated. So this number 22 by 7 is classified as irrational number and it is denoted as R minus Q. Is it clear for you students? Okay. Okay students, let's discuss the fifth sum now. Very simple sum. Find a positive number smaller than 1 divided by 2 power 1000 and we have to justify. Okay. Now listen, we are going to find a positive number smaller than 1 divided by 1000. Okay. Now let's consider a number. Okay. Now greater number to 1000. So consider 1001. Just the simple number which is greater than 1000 is 1001. Okay. Now we know that 1000 is strictly less than 1001. Do you agree? Yes or no? Okay. 1000 is strictly less than 1001. Okay. And also if I am going to raise the base with 2. Now 2 to the power 1000 will definitely be less than 2 to the power 1001. Let's discuss with small example. Now look into this. 1 is less than 2. Yes or no? Okay. Now if I am going to raise a base 2 to the power 1 will be definitely less than 2 to the power 2. Yes or no? Let's check. What is 2 to the power 1? 2 to the power 1 is 2. Okay, what is 2 to the power 2? It is 4. 2 2s are 4, isn't it? So 2 is strictly less than 4. Okay, now the same logic is applied here also. So 2 to the power 1000 will be definitely less than 2 to the power 1001. Now when we discuss about the fraction now, okay, now look into this. 1 divided by 2000, 2 to the power 1000. 1 divided by 2 to the power 1000 and 1 divided by 2 to the power 1001. Now let's discuss the value of this. 1 divided by 2 to the power 1000 and 1 divided by 2 to the power 1001. Now look into this. 1 divided by 2 to the power 1 is how much? 1 divided by 2. Is it clear? Now 1 divided by 2 square. What is 1 divided by 2 square? That is 1 divided by 4. Now when you compare these two, 1 divided by 2 and 1 by 4, which is smaller now? Is it 1 by 2 or 1 by 4? Now look into this. What does this mean? 1 divided by 2 now. Out of 2 parts, I am shading 1 part. Out of 2 parts, I am shading 1 part. Okay. Now what is meant by 1 divided by 4? Out of 4 parts. Out of 4 parts, I am shading what? 1 part. Okay. Now the same diagram, in the first case, I have divided into 2 and I have shaded the 1 part alone. Now the same diagram is divided into 4 parts. Now look into this now. Look into the part. This is greater and this is smaller, isn't it? Now I am going to shade only 1 part. So now which is smaller and which is greater? Now this is greater and this is smaller. அப்போ பவர்ஸ் வந்து எனக்கு கம்மியாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா அது வந்து கிரேட்டராக இருக்கும். பவர்ஸ் வந்து ஜாஸ்தியாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா அது என்னவா மாறிடும்? ஸ்மாலராக மாறிடும். எப்போ ஃப்ராக்ஷனை பார்க்கும்போது மட்டும், நாட் த ஹோல் நம்பராக இப்படி பார்க்கும்போது இல்லை, ஆனால் ஃப்ராக்ஷனாக பார்க்கும்போது இந்த பவர்ஸோட வேல்யூ இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆக ஆக நமக்கு என்ன ஆகிடும்? வேல்யூ ஆஃப் த ஃப்ராக்ஷன் வில் பி டிக்ரீஸ்ட். அப்போது அதே லாஜிக் தான் நம்ம இங்கே அப்ளை பண்ண போகிறோம். அப்போ 1 by 2000 1 divided by 2 to the power 1001 ஓட வேல்யூ வந்து கண்டிப்பாக 1 divided by 2 to the power 1000 விட எப்படி இருக்கும்? கம்மியாக தான் இருக்கும். ஸோ we can say that 1 divided by 2 to the power 1001 is less than 1 divided by 2 to the power 1000. அப்போது இதை விட ஸ்மாலஸ்ட் நம்பர் எதுன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா 1 divided by 2 to the power 1001. அப்போ அவங்க கேட்டிருக்கிற பாசிட்டிவ் நம்பர் smaller than 1 divided by 2 to the power 1000 is what? 1 divided by 2 to the power 1001 is smaller. அப்படின்னு நம்ம என்ன பண்ணிடலாம்? நம்மளோட ஆன்சரை ஜஸ்டிஃபை பண்ணிடலாம். I hope this explanation is very much enough for you to explain or justify what is given in your question. Thank you, students.